I'm in Colombia, more precisely in Barranquilla, where today on September 7th, 2023, the Colombian men's national team will kick off their campaign on the road to the US, Canada and Mexico to participate in the World Cup 2026. It's match day 1 of 18 and today Venezuela is gonna be the first opponent in Barranquilla, first home game, first game in the campaign. Estadio Metropolitano not completely sold out, but the crowd definitely didn't lack in energy. One interesting fact when buying tickets to a Colombian game is that you basically don't get your seat that you purchased. In this stadium, we basically pick 1 out of 8 areas, north, south, east and west, up or down, and then you get tickets assigned to that particular area. But once you get there, it's first come, first serve. Even though your tickets have a seat number, no one really cares. We arrived about an hour before the game started and still got fairly decent seats. Not the seats that we had purchased, but even better seats, which might change if the team plays Argentina or Brazil, where the house gets crowded earlier in the day. Colombia failed to qualify for the previous World Cup 2022 in Qatar. Prior to that, it reached the round of 16 in Russia 2018, where England won through penalties. And prior to that, in Brazil in 2014, when the Colombian team got eliminated by Brazil in the quarterfinals in a very heated game. So now off to a new campaign. Cuadrado is the captain today, starting against Venezuela. Cuadrado, who just transferred from Juventus to Internazionale Milan, doesn't have his starting 11 spot at the club level, but still is in the starting 11 and the captain in the national team. Luis Diaz from Liverpool, his counterpart on the other side on the left. Vargas from the Mexican side, Atlas in goal. And Jerry Mina, who just transferred from Everton to the Fiorentina, in central defense. But I'll be quiet for a few minutes for us to listen to the Colombian national anthem. The fans are ready and so is the team, so let's kick things off here. Kickoff at 6 p.m. local time in Barranquilla. All eyes on the front three, Diaz, Cuadrado and Borré. The Colombian team definitely a little bit hesitant in the beginning. They didn't want to allow any counterattacks by Venezuela and kind of kept it in the midfield for a long time, a little bit too much in my opinion, as it got dangerous, especially when the Colombian team was able to pass the ball deep through the rooms to the forwards quickly and kind of to surprise Venezuela's defense. That didn't really happen too often. When it happened, it always got dangerous, but it didn't seem to be the tactical guidance that Nestor Lorenzo set out for his team, because it wasn't really intentional. It didn't happen often enough, so that I don't think that was what they wanted to do. But I guess throughout the game, because it got better in the second half, is what they figured out would work best. Nestor Lorenzo, who spent his playing career mostly in Argentina and made it to 13 total caps as a player for Argentina, started his managerial career for the Argentinian sub-20 team as an assistant, before eventually he ended up on the Colombian assistant team under Jose Peckerman from 2012 to 2019. Before he went to the Peruvian side Melgar for about a year. And then since last year, 2022, he came back to be a head coach of the Colombian national team. Here an example of how the Colombian offense was out of ideas already early on when trying to create chances with Venezuela's defense standing deep. It only got dangerous when the Colombian team was able to be fast and keep their pace, which only happened on a few occasions. Venezuela, on the other side, always got dangerous through standard situations, free kicks, corners, which they had more of in the first half. In the second half, they relied more on counterattacks that they started well, but in the end, it wasn't that dangerous. Venezuela is the only CONMEBOL nation that has never been to a World Cup. All other 9 have been at least 3 times. Bolivia has been 3 times, Ecuador 4 times, Peru 5, Colombia 6 times at a World Cup in the past. Venezuela, again, the only team of those 10 nations that has never been at a World Cup. Their best result has been 4th place at a Copa America. That was in 2011, and they've never exceeded those results. They, among other nations, certainly hope that the expansion from 32 to 48 participating nations will work in their favor. CONMEBOL got an additional slot to qualify for the World Cup. So 6 teams will directly qualify, while the 7th team in the table will go through a qualifying knockout phase. So the opportunity has never been greater than this time around. The atmosphere in the stadium was positive, but also a little bit nervous, as everyone understood that Colombia had to win against Venezuela to be off to a good start in this qualifying campaign. And as mentioned, the Colombian team struggled a little bit to break down the Venezuelan defense. And here's a situation where Colombia tries to break in and then loses the ball, Venezuela being quick but not with enough men going up the field to start the counterattack, and so they were still stopped in this situation. Towards the end of the first half, there was a dangerous situation in the Venezuelan box. Colombia got really close. Rafael Borré gets the ball, falls, and VAR checked the situation. I put the link to that video into the description here, so you can see what VAR actually communicated in that situation. In my opinion, I agree, that was not a foul. The defender was first at the ball, but definitely a scary situation, because Borré stayed on the floor for quite some time after the halftime whistle already sounded. And a scary moment here for Werder Bremen fans, for Colombian fans. He had just transferred or being sent on loan from Eintracht Frankfurt to SV Werder Bremen, and hasn't even played a game there. Yet it was a little bit scary to see him on the pitch for that long, not getting up, but he was able to continue and able to start the second half. Luckily, he was able to start the second half because he would end up scoring just a few seconds into that second half. while it didn't look that well here in this situation as he's staying on the pitch. But I was the first half in this match highly fought, highly tactical. Colombia wasn't able to break down Venezuela's defense. Venezuela tried standards and counterattacks, and we are at 0-0 at halftime. So Colombia kicks off the second half. I put a counter here in the top left corner because it didn't take Colombia long. And as I said, when they were quick, when they were going deep fast, it got dangerous. And especially here with a quick pass onto the right, a perfectly timed pass in the middle. Unfortunately, the guy in front of me jumped up, so the second Borré scored isn't on camera, but I put in a second angle on the right and slowed it down a little bit so we can review this wonderful goal. Yes, Colombia up 1-0. The pass comes from John Arias on to Rafael Borré's head, who heads it in for the win. Wonderful goal. At the club level, people question whether he can replace Niklas Füllkrug, who had been strong with his head, but Borré here doesn't have to hide his skills either. Wonderful header, 1-0 Colombia. It felt like after this early goal in the second half, the pressure came off a little bit of the Colombian team and they were able to combine a little bit better, have bigger chances, yet they were still not fast enough to get into the spaces. Colombia with 70% possession throughout the game, 13-7 shots, and Venezuela had more corners, 4-2. Again, they relied more on standard situations, which they couldn't succeed on. And here we're witnessing a special moment in the game. James Rodriguez is being substituted in. He even receives the captain's band. Cuadrado was substituted out at halftime already, so Uribe took over the captain's band. But when James came on the pitch, he became the captain, standing ovations from the fans, and he definitely is still beloved by all Colombians. He might not have had the club career that everyone expected him to have, but what he's done for the Colombian national team will never be forgotten, and he's definitely still a star no matter his current situation at the club level. He's currently playing in Brazil, but nonetheless at the Colombian national team he's still a star. It was definitely great to see the support the Colombian fans had for their players. There were Borré chants, there were Luis Diaz, Lucho chants, James chants, and overall great support, especially for their star players. James even demanded the ball, he was present on the field, even shot the corner kicks here, he took the corner kicks. In the end, they didn't end up being dangerous, but in this case, it seemed to be okay. Again, Luis Diaz, the other big star, the new star on the team, probably the best current player on the team after Cuadrado is getting older. He also got standing ovation and Lucho chants. The team certainly doesn't have the big stars, the big names anymore that it used to have. Luis Diaz is a different story. He's, again, probably the best known, most known player at this point, along with Cuadrado, who's getting older. But it was enough today to win against Venezuela, to carry away the 1-0 win. The coach might want to adjust the tactical orientation a little bit for the next game against Chile. But overall, a successful start into the campaign. The referee is blowing the whistle here. Game is over. First victory in the first game. Everything is okay. Everything is on track. And we had a great time in the stadium. The atmosphere was awesome. The temperature and humidity was high, but at least it was at night, or the sun was gone by the time the game got kicked off. So it wasn't too bad and still enjoyable. All home games of the Colombian team are played here in Barranquilla, and the organization around the stadium was great. About a 20-minute walk radius around the stadium was blocked off for car traffic. But back to the game, here a pressure map showing you how dominant Colombia was. The position of the players definitely shows the left and right side, with Luis Diaz and Cuadrado being dominant parts in the offensive play. After James got substituted in, he was the most offensive player. And with that, I want to look at the other results of the CONMEBOL qualifying games. All nations playing at home except for Paraguay won. Uruguay and Brazil were dominating their games and are just fully on top of the league table right now. One game is definitely not enough to tell the whole story. There will be a total of 18 games. We'll definitely keep an eye and keep track of what's happening in the next match days here. But for today, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. This was Todos Cafeteros. Until next time.